Still don't understand why going to the gym makes me fat phobic. I literally worked hard for my body. Why are you trying to shame me for it? Going to the gym does not make you fat phobic. Going to the gym so that you can look a certain way and have a certain body image does make you fat phobic because there's absolutely nothing healthy about a certain body size. No, that's just how you measure success at the gym. No, success surrounding physical fitness can be measured and should be measured by your ability to lift more, to do more reps, to run faster, to make the activities easier. When you're just focused on size, yeah, that would make me fat phobic. So now I'm a bad person and I just shouldn't work out. Fat phobia is not a derogatory term. So why bring up the point that I might be fat phobic? Because fat phobia is a social justice issue and some people want to leave this world a better place for their children. Yes, social justice issue. Didn't you call me a racist?
Oh my God, so you guys, ew. What the fuck? Ugh. Gross. Anyway, just got this set from Savage Fenty. What do you guys think? Let me show you the back. Cute, right?
Let's talk about celebrity weight loss. Some of you may have seen the Rebel Wilson swimsuit photo showing off her weight loss and what she has said about it, which is essentially, I'm so much better now. So like a lot of fat people, I'm not gonna lie, I have big feelings on celebrity weight loss. I don't really have big feelings on Rebel Wilson's particular celebrity weight loss because I didn't like her before. But in general, it's something that has really hit me hard in the past. It's not necessarily about the weight loss itself, although it is really hard to lose one of the few role models and representations we've had. But that wouldn't necessarily feel like betrayal if it weren't for the way that they talked about it. Two of the celebrity weight loss stories that really hit me hard as a kid were Jordan Sparks and Jennifer Hudson. And the reason that it hurt me so much when I was so young was because that was the only representation I saw of bodies anything like mine as a really young kid growing up in the 2000s. I remember so clearly the day I read a People magazine in my dentist office with an interview with Jennifer Hudson about her weight loss. And in that interview, she said, I can wear heels now. Like, she was like, well, I could have worn them before, but now it's a whole different thing. Like, let alone that when you're fat, sometimes the only cool or like pretty feminine apparel available to you is shoes. And then I found out that I couldn't even legitimately wear shoes until I lost weight. It was also like she was demeaning her past self so explicitly. And in doing that, she was demeaning me and reminding me that I wasn't really living a life and my life wouldn't start until I lost weight. So when a celebrity loses weight, it does have a sort of trickle down effect. And it doesn't necessarily need to because they don't have to talk about it the way that they talk about it. The way that's like, I am so much better now. And then, of course, a lot of the time they end up selling a diet like Jennifer Hudson with Weight Watchers or Oprah. And that's a harmful implication too because it's like you too can do it if you just do this program. When a lot of the time they have resources that you don't have. They have nutritionists, dietitians, personal trainers, all this fancy stuff that like the average person might not be able to afford. It's also possible that maybe some of them had weight loss surgery and didn't want to admit that publicly. And there is so much shame and stigma around weight loss surgery. It is totally seen as like the easy way out. So I don't really blame them for keeping that to themselves, but I also think it's really harmful if they are. And I know a lot of them say like, oh, I'm just doing this for my health. I just needed to do this for me. Adele even said like, I want to be able to play with my kids more. Even though a lot of fat people actually are healthy and play with their kids. In fact, in this era, pretty much all celebrities say that their weight loss was for health. It's almost like health is the only respectable reason to lose weight in this day and age. Huh, weird.
Fried chicken, cornbread.
All I gotta say, and like no hate to this creator at all, but all I gotta say is let a fat person come on this app and eat like this. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. That's it.
Skinny girls had their turn, and so did plus-size girls.
Herein lies the fundamental miscommunication about the body positive movement for both mid-sized and thin women. The fundamental misunderstanding being that thin people and mid-sized people think that the body positivity movement is about centering desirability and attractiveness. Like, everybody wants to feel attractive and feel beautiful and have validation and have attention. That's just a normal human thing that everybody wants, of course. But the point of the body positivity movement is to address real material discriminations that fat people face in society, like discrimination in employment and healthcare and media and their day-to-day interactions with like other people. It isn't about like taking turns to see who can be like the ideal of desirability and attractiveness in society. It's about addressing systemic oppression and prejudice within society toward fat bodies.
I'm answering questions off of my story right now, and one of them was, when did you realize it's okay to be fat? So actually in 2018, I was on sort of like a weight loss kick trying to do that. And then as I got into 2019, the beginning of 2019, my body started changing. You know, I started gaining a little bit of weight, and I was like really struggling with internalized fat phobia because my entire family has taught me from birth, just picked apart my body, said fat is horrible. But my body was changing, so I needed to dress it. I've only thought about the origins of how I unlearned it or the inciting moments a few times, but it really was just fat fashion and fat influencers who post fashion outfits or daily life content. I started watching Emma Thompson Hill in 2019 to kind of figure out clothing hauls and like where I could get clothes that fit my body now that I wasn't straight size. And I had never seen a fat person that was happy. Never. I didn't think that was a thing. Because at that point, my social media was just full of before and after weight loss pages and things like that. So, like, I was just really in this environment at home and online that was really fat phobic. I watched more of her videos. I followed her and I followed other fat creators. And I had a moment to myself. I'm like, they look good when they're fat. They're not supposed to look good when they're fat. But they do. I realized it was okay to be fat when I saw other people okay with being fat. And not just being okay with it, but actively trying not to change it and living their life to the fullest. They had belly lines and big stomachs and big arms, and they didn't care. From there, I unfollowed all of the weight loss pages, and I just followed a whole bunch of fat creators, which then led me into following people into fat liberation, which then got me interested in fat liberation and fat positivity, you know, true body positivity. And then I started following people that posted infographics, you know, disproving all of these things I had thought that were fact. And I was presented with new information that I just hadn't had before because the world is fat phobic and doesn't want you to realize that you can be fat and be fine. So sometime in 2019, I realized it was okay to be fat because so many people were. And I had tried so hard and it made me miserable. And I realized I had a choice between staying miserable in a body that was not going to change back to being thin. That thin ideal was gone after reading from so many scholars, my personal experience, everyone else's experiences. I realized I can live my life and be fat, or stall it and keep being miserable. I hope that answered everything.
I'm realizing as a fat person who's like trying to be honest about everything, that I think there's some things fat people have to cope with, actually. And one of the things I'm sort of working through right now is the way that some people who are important to me see me. Like some of the ways that people look at me or talk to me, what they choose to talk to me about, make it so obvious that they don't just look at me and see Kateri. They don't just look at me and see a coworker, a friend, family member. They see Kateri who's fat, my fat coworker, my fat friend, my fat daughter. Ooh, that one caught me off guard, but it's true. I don't know. It's just sad that these people that I like a lot and love a lot, like, don't just see me as a person. I'm always a fat person.
I've always wanted to talk about this. A lot of fat men are extremely fat phobic, to the point where it's literally repulsive. The amount of times I've heard a fat guy call a fat girl a big bitch like he is not one is astronomical to me. Not to mention the fact that their bodies are generally more accepted in society than fat women's are. If a fat man says that he plays a sport, nobody's gonna doubt him. If I say I play a sport, they're like, what the fuck do you play? And that's personally why I think that fat men have never had a body positivity movement, because their bodies have always been accepted. but they are also some of the biggest perpetuators of fat phobia towards fat women. And it makes it very hard for me to have sympathy towards them, especially when they get on here talking about what they go through, because they would put a woman in the same position with no hesitation.